Here's the story from Fox News. FBI launches criminal investigations of John Brennan and James Comey. CIA Director John Ratcliffe referred Brennan for criminal investigation to the FBI, sources told Fox News Digital. They say former CIA Director Brennan, former FBI Director Comey are under criminal investigation for potential wrongdoing related to the Trump-Russia probe, including allegedly making false statements to Congress. DOJ sources told Fox News. The sources said that the referral was received and told Fox that a criminal investigation into Brennan was opened and is underway. DOJ sources decline to provide further details. It is unclear at this point if the investigation spans beyond his alleged false statements to Congress. As for Comey, DOJ sources told Fox News that an investigation into the former director is underway, but could not share details of what specifically is being probed. The full scope of the criminal investigation into Brennan and Comey is unclear, but two sources described the FBI's view of the duo's interactions as a conspiracy, which could open up a wide range of potential prosecutorial options. The FBI and CIA declined to comment, nor did Brennan or Comey. The Brennan investigation comes after Ratcliffe last week declassified a lessons learned review of the creation of the 2017 Intelligence Community Assessment, the ICA. The 2017 ICA alleged Russia sought to influence the 2016 presidential election to help Donald Trump. But the review found the process of the ICA's creation was rushed with procedural anomalies and that officials diverted from intelligence standards. But let's do this. Instead of whatever it is they're going to describe it as, how about we take the word from Kash Patel 1 month ago? FBI Director Kash Patel slams Comey's comments about the Bureau, to which he says, let me see if it's at the bottom. Let me actually make sure I can there we go. James Comey is a private citizen, and he can walk around the beach and talk about seashells and Cruella crayons for all I care about, and talk about how we're the conspiracy theorists. But I'll just remind the American people of one thing. When that man was leader of the FBI, he perpetrated the largest criminal conspiracy, packaged political information from overseas, took it to a federal FISA court, and illegally surveilled a political opponent. I won't be lectured on how to run this FBI from that man.
That's awesome.
So I'm pretty sure we know what the criminal investigation's about. And I know everybody's upset over the Epstein stuff. We do have that story. We will get to it. But for the time being, let's just at least accept some good right now. Some good things are happening. All right. I'd like to see Comey and Brennan, many others, charged and arrested. So we're on a good track.
Yeah. I mean, look, there's a lot of people that have justifiably been impatient, that have been like, we want to see these kind of things. We know the deep state. We know all this stuff. There's all this evidence out there. Why aren't there arrests? Why hasn't there been, moves by the Justice Department? And we around the table has been like, look, they're probably working on it. They want to have, all of their ducks in a row before they go and try and issue, either warrants or whatever. So this looks like they're doing exactly what we thought. They're looking to start investigating now. And I couldn't be happier because the evidence that we all know about points strongly to both Brennan and Comey having broken the law. So
definitely broke the law, but doesn't this seem awfully convenient that it's happening right now on the tail end?
The leak does.
Fun
the leak
suck.
Does. Yeah, I did. I instantly did. I mean, there are no beers. There are no beers in the fridge. So
we're enjoying this. And you're not wrong.
We don't drink alcohol here. What do we look like?
Apparently not. Well,
Nope.
That's why I'm sucking the fun, because I didn't have beer before the
No,
show.
I think you make a great point. I think you're right. This leak happens right after we get not only this weird memo unsigned with no date saying no client list. Donald Trump interrupts a reporter asking about it by saying, "Are you still talking about this?" Which was very weird. And then we get only a couple hours ago, the FBI, the DOJ leaks that they're criminally investigating Brennan and Comey. Changing the story much?
So I think Kash Patel is in a unique position to be able to address and investigate this because he was heavily involved, according to the New York Times, in writing the Nunes memo, which was involved in debunking a lot of what was in the original Steele dossier. And I think they're trying to get Brennan on trying to include that in documentation and to justify investigations where it shouldn't have. I just totally agree with you guys, though, that it is a red herring at this point, and the FBI and Dan Bongino need an easy win here. And I think that's what they're looking for.
So you think this is a red herring? So they're going to go ahead and start a whole investigation just because of the failure to produce something that's tangible regarding the Epstein file?
I do think that there was corruption involved with Brennan and Comey. However, I don't think they're going to have enough evidence to convict them on anything. We'll see what happens down the line. Well, we'll see what comes of the investigation. I just think the time is awfully convenient, and I think this is really red meat to the MAGA base, which is needed, I think, from the Trump administration's perspective right now.
So I think this is skeptical of timing then?
Completely skeptical of timing. I think the administration is really struggling what to do with this Epstein stuff. Kash Patel and Dan Bongino might be honest with what's going on with the Epstein stuff, but nobody believes them. Whether or not that's that's right or wrong, at this point, nobody believes them. Also, it's ironic coming from Kash Patel and Dan Bongino because you could go back in time and see what they've said about the Jeffrey Epstein stuff going so far back, and they used to be the loudest guys talking about these issues. And the fact that there's nobody else that the hammer's falling down on here, I usually hate when I think people talk a little bit too much about the Epstein stuff, but I think people are valid in their feelings right now in how they're, we're really not given enough. It seems like they are hiding things. It just frankly does. And the way the president talked about it today, you could tell he's frustrated to keep hearing about it.
I don't disagree with any of that stuff. Like any of the things you said about the Epstein stuff, like it is unsatisfying. It doesn't give enough information. There are way too many questions. But at the same time, I do think that all of the indications are that Brennan and Comey, probably along with Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, they broke the law when they started all the investigations into Donald Trump. They started the Russia collusion stuff. That was all a violation of the law. And so anything they do when it comes to investigating these guys, it's all legitimate and it needs to happen. To be honest with you, as much as there's an emotional motivation to get Epstein and see some kind of retribution for all the terrible things that he's alleged to have done and that he's been found to actually have done in court and stuff. I think that this particular issue is probably better for the American people to be sorted out and put these people in jail than the actual Epstein.
Do you think they're going to get a conviction out of either of these guys?
I don't know because I don't know anything other than they're starting to do an investigation. Just because even if it's a long shot to get the conviction, like you still have to actually go through the process.
And I think a big part of why they're doing this too is not even trying to get a conviction. It's just trying to drag them through the mud. It is not fun to be under investigation by the FBI.
So you think that it's just about trying to make them uncomfortable and the process being the punishment?
I think I know Patel and Dan Bongino have they have a lot of axes to grind, so they're going to go around looking for stuff. I don't think they have the goods. I do think that Brennan and Comey acted inappropriately, but I just don't see them actually reaching a conviction. And at this point, I think the timing is just too convenient. I believe it is a red herring to distract with the administration struggling to address this Epstein stuff.
Sure, it's really real.
Logging down all this stuff.
They are investigating Comey. They are investigating Brennan. And this was selectively leaked early because of the negative press around Epstein.
I don't think they even had the info on what they're going after Comey for.
I think they clearly do, considering Kash Patel just a month ago said he's responsible for the largest criminal conspiracy in the United States.
In this article, it doesn't say what it says that they didn't give comment on what they're going after
Brennan and Comey
for.
says they were both involved in some kind of conspiracy, and Kash's statements have made it clear what kind of conspiracy they're going after.
Well, who requested those FISA warrants? Because that's where it all starts, right?
Wait, but as for Comey, according to this Fox News article, it says DOJ sources told Fox News Digital that an investigation into the former director is underway, but could not share any details of what specifically is being probed. That's less info that they gave on Brennan. I'm just saying the timing's too convenient. That's what they're not even giving us.
Point taken, understood, and agreed with.
Okay.
Point is, Kash has already made clear previously, unrelated to the Epstein case, that he views James Comey as perpetrating the largest criminal conspiracy against the United States people in the Russiagate probe. So when they say he is involved in a conspiracy and they're investigating him, I agree. They leaked this selectively today because it doesn't benefit them to publicly declare they're criminally investigating somebody. It only benefits the bad guy being investigated. Yeah. But they're doing it likely to distract from the story. That being said, I'm still glad they're doing it, and I'm glad we know they're doing it.
Yeah, look, if these guys are found to have done what we think they've done or what they were accused to do, that is bigger than Watergate. Like this rises to the probably the biggest scandal in U.S. history because again, what they did was it was at the direction of the Obama administration. Like the president used the FBI and the CIA to spy on and spread lies about a the opposing political party. So there's no like, oh, this shouldn't be worried about. This should absolutely be worried. And again, I don't disagree with any of your analysis about the Epstein stuff, right? Like I'm on the same page with you. I totally agree. And I think that, Tim's right. This is probably leaked at the time to, distract from the Epstein stuff. But that doesn't change the fact that Brennan and Comey have likely violated significant U.S. federal law.
You remember in March of 2017 when Trump tweeted that they put a wiretap on Trump Tower, and the whole press was like, they didn't wiretap it. Of course, what an idiot. And then the New York Times had already reported the fact that they requested FISA warrants to investigate the Trump administration, not the administration, the campaign prior to the election. So, I mean, that's way worse than a wiretap. If you're tapping into somebody's cell phone and you're able to activate the microphone, that's way more invasive. So
this is what they do. They take everything literally so they can debunk it.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when it comes to Trump, He's uses a lot of euphemisms.
Yeah.
Kash Patel and Dan Bongino over at the FBI are desperate for a win right now, and I think that's what they're going for. I think this is, again, it's red meat for the base, even if there are valid reasons that they're going after them. I just think it's a distraction at this point. I don't know what else to say, and I'm not distracted from the Epstein stuff.
Well, I mean, again, like,
let me show you guys this to exemplify what we were just talking about. One of my favorite tweets of all time.
Oh, yeah.
From 2016, the claim, Trump says Clinton acid washed her email server. The truth, Clinton's team used an app called BleachBit. She did not use a corrosive chemical.
Like with a cloth or what?
Yep. So when Trump says something like they're wiretapping me, he means, generally speaking, as a turn of phrase, I am being spied on. Mm-hmm. Then they say, he's lying. They never did that. It was a FISA warrant. So it's like, so they had a FISA warrant against him and they were spying on his communications across the board. And that's what Trump meant.
Yeah.
But they take Trump literally so they can say,
you don't have a wire. We don't have a wire on your cell phone. There's no wires to tap. And that's supposed to be like, oh, well, then they didn't wiretap. Come on. It's ridiculous.
And they'll probably be focusing on specifically the moment when Trump had already won and he was preparing to move into the White House. And right when Trump came in after the inauguration, Comey basically brought the Steele dossier to the Oval Office and presented it to Trump under the auspices that he was presenting just a report, just findings, and so then the press could then report on that. So there were definitely back channels where they set that up and they said, to the likes of CNN, hey, we're about to present this report, and that's when you can report on the Steele dossier, which obviously turned out to be the P tapes and all that.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot of people that think that the Epstein stuff is the most important thing going on, and I totally respect that. Like, I understand, but in my opinion, this kind of stuff is actually more important to the American people.
Indeed.
I think for many American people, there's so much nuance, and this story is so esoteric with what the wrongdoings of Brennan and Comey were, and the different dossiers that were created, and whether or not it could be used as evidence to try to investigate the president, wrongfully so. The details get lost on a lot of people, and it is kind of a little bit of a difficult story to navigate for, I think, the average American.
Well,
it's not as sexy. It's not nearly as sexy as child predators having a alleged blackmail operation with multiple people helping him human smuggle the people to his alleged island.
Alleged island? Much more, that was a real island.
I want to throw a lot of allegedlys in there because I don't want any letters from lawyers. I don't know. I'm sure there's still Jeffrey Epstein.
It's an alleged island. We're not sure whether or not the island is there. We're still looking into that particular.
No, Luke's been there.
Yeah.
I always
McAfee flew over it with the drone.
I always like introducing Luke by saying he's been to Epstein Island, and everyone just goes, wait, what? And he's like, no. Afterwards, it's a journalist. Afterwards.
Oh, I remember Vote.com. Do you remember that when everybody in 2016 they all found the subterranean? Like they were like, why would there be industrial ventilation systems on this island? They traced it back. It all tied into Schmita Schmate, that thing, and.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.